Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Huey with NBT Systems. Today, we're talking about can a browser be a VDI killer? As a former Citrix employee, I worked with a lot of customers around delivering desktop applications, virtual desktop applications, virtual desktops, uh, desktop as a service. The one discussion that always stood out was the cost of infrastructure and the infrastructure involved, right? Things have changed a little bit, and but there's still some complexities involved with deploying VDI. There's been some changes in technologies back when I worked at Citrix, based around the majority of applications today are cloud-based, right? So that kind of reduces the need for VDI. But we'll take a look at how I believe that a browser can take over VDI. So VDI was built for a purpose, right? Remote access, contractor access, secure access, a way to centrally manage desktops. So what's changed since VDI gained momentum? Well, everything is almost entirely browser based, right? The emergence of SaaS, collaboration tools such as file sharing, those have matured over time, right? Internal applications are now all also web based, right? So for the most part, they're accessed by a browser securely. The desktop still needs protection, but you can kind of sway away from that by implementing other ways to contain your data and protect your data, allowing for unmanaged desktops or bring your own device, BYOD program, and to allow everybody to be productive, right? So the cost of VDI hasn't changed also, right? You still need almost a full data center stack, hypervisors, images, profile storage. There's still that operations overhead, even though some of the deployment functions have been simplified, but there's still a lot of overhead that is needed to maintain something if you need it for a 24 by 7 operations of VDI, right? So the new approach, right? Secure browser that can replace whole desktops, that provides the same kind of access, same kind of experience, same purpose as BYOD, and also contractor access and unmanaged devices without all the infrastructure. So we'll talk about that more. Look at VDI, you look at the moving parts, right? There's still these layers. There may be some simplification of the layers by having it managed by a cloud provider, but the layers are still there, right? Still fairly, in my opinion, complex to deploy in terms of deployment effort. When you look at deploying an enterprise browser like Island, the layers are simplified, right? The browser has all the features, right? DLP enforcement policies and controls are all built in, and it's certainly managed without all these layers, right? I don't need a remote access gateway. I don't need any brokers. I don't have to maintain any images. The hypervisor, updating all those is can be a full-time job in a traditional VDI stack. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying VDI, we can eliminate VDI altogether, right? There's still a use case for VDI, right? There's still cases where an enterprise browser like Island is not going to solve, right? Certainly heavy, intense workloads such as GPUs, those super users, graphic intensive users, they can't be replaced, right? VDI would be a great use case for that. CAD, 3D rendering, video editing, still a great fit for that. I'm not saying that we can replace that with that. So legacy applications, I can argue that those should be modernized, right? From a perspective where you can move those to the cloud or make it cloud-based, then you can start to shift into a browser-only environment, getting rid of any kind of dependency on the OS itself, and then we can start taking that off VDI and moving it into browser. So there's a time and place for everything, and it would depend on the use case. But I think for the most part, there it's mostly based around um, having a intensive workload such as GPU workloads, an air gap situation where you absolutely need some sort of desktop in a working environment. Um, and a few other examples there's kiosks and full OS session recording. So still cases there. There's a time and place for everything. So from a business case, how do you justify this, right? So one of the things with VDI was still higher capex, right? Things have changed a little bit. You can have a little more predictable and lower capex with cloud and infrastructure as a service, but there's still initial investment, right? You can't eliminate some of the pieces. You still need a hypervisor. You still need brokerage. You still need those infrastructure pieces that come at a cost. But if you're looking at going to an enterprise browser, some of those you can eliminate those certainly with an enterprise browser. And from a rollout perspective, when I was doing these engagements to deploy VDI, it would take about 12 to 14 weeks, right? Sometimes if you're rolling out enterprise environments, it would take all years to roll everybody over into that. So if you're looking at enterprise browser, it's just one thing to install, right? Yes, there's the initial setup, but it's just one other thing to install, which is the browser itself. The rollout can take as little as 2 weeks. And then from a headcount standpoint, as you scale with VDI, your infrastructure's costs are going to go up because you need to account for that. Scaling a browser will be the same cost, right? Adding a new browser, you're going to see that it scales exactly the way it scales. And like I mentioned before, it deploys in a few weeks. There's going to be less infrastructure, so it truly is a turnkey system when you look at it from that perspective. Um, the need for both is still there, right? There regulation drives these, and regulation influences VDI, such and also influences why we need things like an enterprise browser like Island. So the idea of VDI is to control the original idea of VDI, right? One of the things is the security aspects of it is to control and secure the data so it does not leave your premises or your data center. So same with Island Browser. There are built-in tools such as data loss prevention and last mile controls that have the same type of data sensitive prevention platform and features built into it. So it's just a browser, but it's not, right? Island is an entire platform, right? It's a security platform, DLP platform, provides secure access with zero trust network access. It's a single platform all in one, right? Just one single management console with a browser as opposed to the multiple layers, right? So if I wanted to deploy secure access, I would need some sort of gateway part of VDI, so you don't need that anymore, right? You don't need to deploy any additional hardware gateways. It's all part of the platform with an enterprise browser like Island. So there's no agents or proxies to have these features. So sometimes you have to couple VDI with other security tools to make it work also. So now it's all part of the platform, which provides it for it. So the browser is the new endpoint, right? 85% of work is done through the browser. What's the first thing you fire up after you log into your computer? It's the browser. In terms of kind of cost-wise, right? The per seat costs for VDI is rising, right? If your cloud service provider decides to raise prices, your VDI prices will go up, right? Um, go up. So this is if you're looking at an enterprise browser, that's it, right? The cost is your subscription to the browser, and that's it. There's no other things such as the infrastructure that will cause the pricing to go up, even though the licensing stays the same. From a bring your own desktop or hybrid work environment, it's a new norm these days. And to have a successful program, you must secure access to protect your data. So the browser has become a super important part. Why not have it simplified and streamlined as part of your stack there? The case for replacing VDI with an enterprise browser like Island is compelling. Um, if you want to take a look at replacing your VDI or coming out with a new secure access BYOD or contractor access program, even your desktop access program, contact me, Rob at nbtsystems.ai. If you would like to start a free trial of Island, happy to provide that. Contact me there. Scan a code to book an appointment. Um, Check out my YouTube channel, NBT Cyber. There are some videos and demos of how Island provides data loss prevention and shadow AI protection. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, I'm Rob Huey, NBT Systems.